That was amazing. That was so good.
We are going on tour.
Thank you, everybody. That's it. We leave in an hour.
Yes. A big bus.
On the motorcycle. All of us. Hey, come on. I've been to countries where they put like 5 people on a bike.
We can do it.
We could do it.
Do a Guinness World Record.
That's fabulous.
Okay. Oh, there we are. State of unconditional love. Soul. Let's talk about the soul today. It's a Myrtle Day. For those that don't know, Myrtle Filmore was the co-founder of Unity, along with her husband Charles. And I actually was talking to somebody earlier today about this very thing, reading a book and then rereading the book and thinking you never really read it before because so many things. And so I've been rereading How to Let God Help You with Myrtle, and then there's things that I didn't even see last time I read it that have opened up. So I'm going to take some excerpts from her book and then talk about them a little bit, if that's okay with you all. All right, so we can never get into better conditions by simply running away from present surroundings. We can never get into better conditions by simply running away from better surroundings. You know, I was thinking about this, and I love to think, like, how did this show up in my life? So, you know, where could I see that something like this was apparent to me? And if I'm, you know, completely truthful, my departure from Vancouver to the island was in some ways I was running away from a person I didn't like, which was myself. And I landed here, and as you all know, after about 2 years of being here, we found Unity, and I started to come to Unity, and so that's like, 2017, and then, you know, a year later, I was on the path to becoming a minister. So clearly, my running from whatever the person I was being in Vancouver did not escape me by coming here. As a matter of fact, I ended up having to do the deepest work I've ever had to face in my life by doing that. And so I really appreciate the idea that we just can't run away from who we are and change our surroundings outside of us. We actually need to do the work ourselves, whatever that looks like. So again, that lines up with this idea of understanding. Right where our feet are is the place that we need to do the work to heal, to transform, to inspire ourselves, whatever that looks, to transcend the current experience we might be having. It starts in the right now moment, exactly where you are. The present environment corresponds to the present state of soul development, and we only postpone the adjustment by trying to get away. So part 2 of that is the understanding that there is no escaping it, that sense of who we are. We must face it wherever we're at. And let me preface that with, maybe it's not we must, but I like to think of life as having an aim that's greater than where I am today. So for me, it works kind of to have this aim that I'm like, there's a place that I can get to that I'm not there yet. And what I've noticed is it keeps expanding. So it's not like I ever achieve it, but as I, you know, seem to aspire to that, a whole new understanding unfolds and a new aim or a greater version of that aim shows up. But that's kind of what I look at this spiritual path as, is an opportunity to continually aim for something greater than the place I am right now or that I know myself to be. Not what others think, but what I actually think and where I want to get to. Now is the time to begin the work of bringing harmony out of discord, and the wish for a better condition is the soul's prophecy of its own good coming into appearance through its own faithful endeavors. So have you ever had that feeling where there's something greater for you? That there is a better, and I hate to use the word better, but a better place to be than the state you're currently in? And I love that Myrtle frames that as our soul speaking to us, that internal wisdom saying, giving you that nudge, a little knock on the door going, hey, there's something else here for you. There's something greater than what you're living into right now. And sometimes we might just push that aside. Anybody ever just kind of ignored that and pushed it away to only get there later? Maybe it's worse a year later or 2 years later than it was feeling then. And you finally reach the point, it's like, I have to take this on. I can't live this way any longer. Anybody said those words? Yes. Yeah. I can't live this way any longer. The kingdom of heaven is within, and it is only through bringing its unfailing law of love to act upon every situation that we shall establish its peace in our surroundings. And I think that's one of the greatest teachings I take from Scripture, or what I would call Jesus' ministry, is this idea that heaven is within, that the kingdom of God is within. And then to take that and think that there's something else just seems so wrong to me. That I don't know how much plainer you can put the message than to say to people that the kingdom is within you. That's where it resides. It's not out there somewhere. It's not from some guru. It's not from some other person. It's not from some dogma or doctrine or agenda. It's actually within you. And that is, when we see that within ourselves, when we get that nudge from our soul, that's what that is. That's calling us to that place where we can actually stand in our understanding of who we are and develop ourselves from there to live forward in a different way and bring ourselves back to that all the time, to that place of knowing that it's actually right here. I know this is always challenging because my wife is in the room, but I know the last week to 10 days I have not been a joyful camper. Let's put it that way. I've been camping in the home unceremoniously, unjoyfully, and I know it causes some tension, you might say. I have a big shadow when it's hanging on, when it's expressing itself, and it's this morning I had a really good meditation and a really good journal for myself, and what I realized what I was doing is the very thing that I teach not to do is exactly what I was doing. I was allowing my state of consciousness within myself to be affected by others in the world. And it doesn't matter who they are, it's the fact that I was living as though people should be different than the way they are. And I really saw that this morning firsthand and realized that what I was not doing was I was not being unconditional love. I was not coming from a place of love when I was in confrontation with somebody or when I didn't like what they had to say to me or however that went that put me in that state. That is not what I was doing. I was actually finger pointing and blaming my experience of life as if it was somebody else's fault. I'm the only one that does that, right? There's nobody. See, you are all amazing. That's why I come here on Sundays, is so I can learn from all of you how I need to act in my life. Thank you for teaching me. But seriously, there was that moment this morning where I just had to give it up and get real with myself and go, okay, this is enough. I've been miserable long enough now, and it's time to get back on track. Time to leave that noise to the side and get myself back on that aim that I like to talk about, because I wasn't aiming for that anymore over the last, say, week or 10 days, whatever it was. So I want to read to you Myrtle's message on universal freedom. And then I'll share something called the Myrtle Close. At least, I don't know if it was in the book that way or if that's what I just called it. But anyhow, first it is universal freedom. So just allow yourself to take this in, because it's pretty great stuff, in my opinion. To enjoy without possession. To enjoy without possession. I need some water. Look at, Josh was going to share his water bottle with me. That's to enjoy without possession right there. Right? He was like, you can have some of mine.
Yeah, it's our water bottle.
Excuse me, thank you. It's our water bottle. I love that. To enjoy without possession. To see without coveting. Has anybody here ever coveted somebody else's life, their success, their possessions, however that looks? Mm-hmm. To have without holding. The ability to let something go. The ability to not cling to something. To be without seeming. I feel like I need to give an explanation to that. To be without seeming. So I am actually going to bring Rush into this. Yes. Oh, so good. But, I've listened to this song, I don't know, maybe, let's say, 10,000 times. And it was about a year ago that this line actually made sense to me. The song is called Limelight, and the lyric is, living in the limelight, the universal dream for those who wish to seem. Then the next line is, those who wish to be must put aside the alienation, get on with the fascination. And I had this epiphany of like, oh, there's the difference. There's a difference in seeming and wanting to be something, and then there's the actual act of being something. So in that essence, he's talking about the many people that want to be famous or live in the limelight, and they seem and think about it a lot. But then there's the actual being of that, and what is required. Must give up things, head on with the fascination, the real relation, the underlying theme. You have to get related to it. You need to be moving forward. And I think of that line from the Quakers, when you pray, move your feet. In other words, it's not enough to just be thinking about something, to just be desiring something. We actually need to take it on fully and own it and be in it, be with it. So to be without seeming is followed by, in short, to be myself without desiring, knowing that all that is for me. So even the stuff we don't like is for us. Even this past week of my experience was for me. I needed to see that. I needed to be reminded that I don't have it all worked out. I don't have it figured out, that I can, in a moment's notice, just fall off that perch of thinking I am moving towards something and take a few steps back and be a jerk, essentially, which is how I would frame it. I know none of you would think that about me, but
Never.
No. Knowing that all that is for me, for my pleasure and the satisfaction of my immortal soul. To say, I am monarch of all I survey. My right there is non-dispute. I am monarch of all I survey, and I'm not thinking of, oh, I own everything in front of me. It's the survey of who you are. As Joanne read earlier, the home, Myrtle's idea of home and her mind and where she brought her state of consciousness to. That's what she's talking about. The monarch of all she surveys within herself. That's the place that we can make a difference, because that's the place where God shows up. If you want to use that word God, that's the place it lives, is in us. And so we are the monarch of that. We are in charge. And if we're not, usually things go sideways, don't they? When we are not in charge of who we are. Finally, she says, to be generous-hearted. What I see, others may see. What I enjoy, others may share, also on equal terms with me. So I'll just read it all as one piece. Universal freedom, to enjoy without possession, to see without coveting, to have without holding, to be without seeming. In short, to be myself without desiring, knowing that all that is for me, for my pleasure and the satisfaction of my immortal soul. To say, I am monarch of all I survey, my right there is none to dispute. To be generous-hearted, what I see others may see, what I enjoy others may share, also on equal terms with me. And then Myrtle's close, and we'll have a meditation. We'll go into meditation after this. I love to meditate upon Jesus' illustration of God's provision for all of us. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. When all of humanity lives in harmony with the providing law of being, we too will be blessed with plenty without having to toil for the necessities of life. We can learn valuable lessons on every side when our minds are alert. So, get busy using the truth you know. Love those about you in a practical way. Pay no attention to what others are doing insofar as to make comparisons. Bring forth your own joyous world of love, friendship, beauty, and plenty. God is giving everything required to build such a world. There is within you the God-given intelligence to build such a world. Get at it.
Love it.
Come on, isn't that like, get at it? Let's go, people. Just do it.